So here we are.
Let me know.
Welcome to week 5 of the never to be named Sun Journal High School Football Show. And it's kind of surprising that it's already week 5. It feels like week 3 or 4. But kind of an action-packed week that started yesterday with Telstar's win over Sacopee Valley. And we also had a couple games canceled. Lisbon at Winthrop, Monmouth, Halldale, and Poland's game against Freeport was also canceled. But we also had games that actually happened. Starting out, let's start with Adam, your game, 16-6 for Dirigo over Mountain Valley. Tell us about the scene at Hosmer today.
There were scenes. I was just telling Will before we got on here, our game, maybe the hardest game, us doing this video. I was just telling him that they had a pretty good crowd at Hosmer in Rumford today for Mountain Valley Dirigo. I mean, I'm sure there was fans from both teams packing all the stands because Dirigo's like 7 miles down the road. So really good turnout, and a gritty, grinded out football game happened. The first half was really fast because there was a whole lot of running the ball, a lot of incompletions, and they just went right back to running the ball. And Dirigo came out on top. Curtis Arrington had 174 rushing yards on the ground for Dirigo. Charlie Houghton had, I think, close to 60 passing yards, and I think close to 60 on the ground too. And they just did what they had to do. They like to throw the ball a lot more than they did today, but they found that the run game was working, and they just kind of stuck with what was working and took down Mountain Valley, who's had a start to the season, and we're kind of rusty, according to Devin Roberts. Rusty might not be the right word, but lacking the in-game experience and a whole lot of other teams have. And Dirigo took advantage and came out with a grinded out win.
Well, especially where, Mountain Valley's new to, 8-man football, that to not have those games under your belt to try to just figure everything out is tough. Yeah.
And Dirigo they're 3-2 now. They've played all 5 of their games and they've gotten a hang of it. I was talking to Coach Collins a couple days ago because this was our game of the week here for the Sun Journal, and he was saying the players are kind of getting the hang of it. He's starting to get the hang of it, and they're just learning day by day. And I'm sure that's these two teams, Spruce, you're just learning on the job. And as more, the more games you can get under your belt in a new form of the sport, then the better.
So they are learning. Mountain Valley is learning to play, but so is Dirigo, and they've only had, and they didn't really even play they didn't play a varsity season in 2019. They played one varsity game before calling off the rest of that schedule.
Yeah.
So they don't have a lot of varsity experience, and they've really kind of come along pretty good. They've shown that they can pass the ball with Charlie Houghton in the past, and then today, and I think Arrington's had a few good games, and then today the running game was the catalyst. So they can go both ways with their offense.
Yeah. Yep, they feel really good about what they've got, and Coach Collins today was telling me after the game that he was going with what was working, kind of like if it's not broke, don't fix it type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Mountain Valley played well. They kind of ran. They had a lot of the possession in the first quarter. They had a 7-minute drive that ended in a fumble in the red zone at the end of the first quarter, and that kind of turned the momentum towards Dirigo. And then they had another long drive that they scored on in the second quarter, but Dirigo's defense kind of locked in the second half and shut them down. Caden Passo scored for Mountain Valley, and Lucas Libby had a few really nice runs. And Mountain Valley's Jamal Yates had 2 interceptions. I wanted to shout him out there because he played really well on defense. But yeah, Dirigo did what they had to do, and they came out with the win, and they're feeling good. 3-game win streak there for them.
It's nice to see those two teams, playing against each other again. Next, neighboring rivals like that. Who, there's some emotion in that matchup.
Yep. Yeah, they were into it. Crowd was into it. I had a lot of fun being there and watching. It was just a good time. I think the community got to come together, and I'm sure they enjoyed all the things that came with that. Lee, their French fries, really good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they get the Adams seal of approval.
Oh, nice.
Yep. And it's back to Oak Hill tomorrow for me. So chicken tenders, we're back.
Super jealous.
Yeah, 2 times in 1 year. I mean, how lucky am I?
Yeah. Super jealous.
Blessed.
I'm glad you mentioned Jamal Yates' interceptions, because I was about to do that.
Yeah, one in the red zone and then one in the end zone. He kind of like reached around a receiver and caught it and wrestled to the ground with the receiver and came out with the ball. He was everywhere, and they had a couple other good defenders. But Dirigo had a few big plays and scored when they needed to, and did just enough to hang on and push Mountain Valley away.
All right, good game by them. And they improved to 3-2, and Mountain Valley is 1-2.
Yep.
Will, you saw a game that wasn't nearly as close. Oxford Hills traveled to Auburn to play at historic Walton Field against Edward Little, and it was 49-0 for Oxford Hills. And a lot of their points came on a 5-drive scoring streak. In the first half.
Yeah, and so Oxford Hills got the ball first and went 3 and out, and it's like, all right, so Edward Little's here to play, and then Edward Little went 3 and out, and then Oxford Hills just got drives going and started scoring, and so many big plays. They had 2 third downs total in that 5-drive stretch, and just a lot of it was the passing game, and then they punched it in with the running game. Eli Thorin was 14 of 19 in the first half for 245 yards. So, they had that part of the offense working, and then, like I said, they mixed in some runs because 3 of those touchdowns were running touchdowns. But just they're doing everything, whatever they wanted to do, and on the other side, the defense was stopping Edward Little, and so all of a sudden it's 35-0 at halftime, and could have been more, except Edward Little's defense held a few times down the stretch to keep it only 35-0.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like a little bit like last week's game, that in a few ways. First of all, that the Oxford Hills line kind of started off slow the first drive and then just picked it up and was dominant. But also just Oxford Hills just seems to be able to score in spurts like that, just like boom, 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 and they build a lead on you. And I think they kind of had some mistakes, penalties, and some turnovers, which is kind of something else they've been doing throughout the season.
The things are going really well. And like towards the end of the first half, there was some just stuff that they would like back. A fumble on a long pass play, and just some passes missed, and then the last one was the ball back with less than a minute left, and just try to get something. And Dakota Grassi almost made it to the end zone on a 50-yard pass, but EL stopped him just short, and that was it.
Yeah, that Oxford Hills team, though, you got to watch out for them. They can just score like that, and then they do it again like that.
Right.
And their defense is what amazes me. They're just the ball gets snapped and they're in the backfield. They're physical. They're fast. It's just there was times where Jack Keefe just couldn't do anything for Edward Little at quarterback, because he'd roll out and there's 3 guys on him.
Yeah.
And,
right.
I'm surprised he didn't get sacked more. He only got sacked 2 times, and there's times where he just was able to get rid of it just in time before he got sacked.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah, I finally got to see a game last week. I covered the Oxford Hills of Bonnie Eagle game. And so the first drive, Bonnie Eagle had the ball first, and they just went down the field just methodically, like 4 or 5 yards at a time. It was like between 4 and 8 yards every time, it seemed like. And then they scored a touchdown. And I was just thinking, oh man, this is going to get ugly because Oxford Hills is just, they can't do anything against this line. And I think Zach Oja, I think is how you say his name, for Bonnie Eagle. He had like 37 yards on that drive, that first drive. And I thought, wow, they're not going to be able to stop him. But then after the rest of the game, they did. Like they completely shut him, like the entire offense down. They get 2 or 3 yards or like 4 yards, but then like they'd knock it. Then there'd be like a gain of 1 or a gain of 0 or a pass that was incomplete or something. And by the end of the game, like, yeah, they just didn't. They had like, I think the last drive, Bonnie Eagle had like that. Oja had like a 25-yard run and another long run. But other than that, like they just completely, the Oxford Hills just completely shut them down. And Bonnie Eagle is kind of known as like a really good offensive line team. And I talked to John Hatcher, I think his last name was. He's a Oxford Hills lineman after the game, and he just said that they'd heard all week, probably from their own coaches, that Bonnie Eagle has the best offensive line in the state. And so he said, we just want to come out and show them that we're the best defensive line. And it's hard to argue with it.
Yeah.
With that. But they have I don't think that Oxford Hills is a perfect team, because we talked about how like they've had penalties and turnovers that have occurred.
Yeah.
But they're definitely they have it all.
Yeah, they only had 3 penalties today, so that was
good.
That was big that they didn't shoot themselves in the foot on that part of it.
Yeah. Last week they struggled because there was a couple times where it was like 3rd or 4th down. They got called for like 3rd and 5 or whatever, 4th and 5, and they went off sides. And then there was another touchdown they had that was called back because of a blocking penalty. And then like a few plays later, it was a pretty clear pass interference in the end zone on Bonnie Eagle that wasn't called. So that was just kind of a tough drive for them to have, when they're trying to put Bonnie Eagle away. But but Mark Soren said they kind of have had that happen a little bit. And there's also the turnovers. He said that like Eli will throw some interceptions that he's just got to know, like that you don't do that. But also he said it's kind of hard because these kids haven't played. They didn't play last year, and so they're kind of learning the varsity stuff too, which is even more amazing that they were doing that well.
Yeah,
that situation. So, but yeah, really, really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, you bring in a whole lot of new guys into the varsity. Soren's a new quarterback, and they seem to got better from the 2019 team. So
yeah. And isn't Soren really good? Like I was just like, wow, he can throw the ball, but he's also big and he can run the ball too.
And his throwing motion and his footwork just looks, so crisp, and that's just some of the throws to the outside, and the deep throws are just on ropes.
Yeah, he fits it in there. You don't really see high school quarterbacks in Maine throw the ball make throws like that very often. But then also sometimes if they just really need to play, seem like they can just kind of have him run the ball, and he's so big it's hard to bring him down before he gets 3 or 4 yards or more. And he had some big runs last week too at some crucial times. So
yeah, that's why I said when I saw him week 1, I said he was like Trey Lance when he was in college, because he would just throw really hard. He's got really good size, and then he'll tuck it and run and try to run over you too. So
yeah.
So
that was the one game that Trey Lance played. You watched it? You happened to be.
He had a whole season. People do that. People say, "Oh, he only played one game." He played a whole season before that. He has 14 games. And yes, I watched a little bit.
He was under the radar.
Yeah,
he's a prospect.
Yeah, But what I'm saying is he'll run you over and he throw it around you and over you and whatever he wants. I mean, when they're locked in on offense, they're really fun.
Yeah, his 52-yard touchdown run was impressive because it was just, like a fake, and he took it off, around the right side, and eventually cut it back to the left and then sprinted, in the end zone. So it was a play that wasn't necessarily supposed to go 52 yards, but it did.
Yeah.
It seems like
he had like 4 carries for 73 yards.
Yeah, he didn't need him to run it much.
Yeah. He took advantage of it.
Yeah.
Anything else about that game? What about Edward Little? What's obviously they're I mean, 0-5. They've had a pretty tough schedule. I'm sure they'd like do-overs in the Messalonsky and maybe even Stanford games, but
yeah. And talking to Coach Dave Sterling after, he said every game they're getting better and better, and whether it looks like it on the scoreboard or not, he sees it. And today they're overpowered in the running game. They had negative 44 yards rushing, but the passing game, end of the first quarter, that last drive, Jack Keefe got a couple passes in a row, and into the second quarter they had like 5 in a row, and just some of it was mostly the short stuff and let his receivers do the work. But they showed flashes, just trying to do it against an Oxford Hills team that has big aspirations and is just a big, powerful team. It's tough because just Edward Little just doesn't match up the same way physically, and doesn't match up the same way experience wise. But Sterling seemed like he saw some things that he likes as far as the future goes and as far as progression goes.
Yeah, and he was pretty satisfied with the defense. There was that 5 touchdown spurt, but he said in the second half they did a lot better, and part of that time they were facing the Oxford Hills starters too. So there's something to look forward to there. At historic Walton Field.
I was actually saying to our photographer Russ Dillingham how I'm going to miss Walton Field when the new EL gets built and they put a turf field at the school, because there's something kind of nice and nice about Walton Field, just the the old school feel of it. Fans are right there on the the field, the end zone, right on top of things.
Yeah, there is something cool about it. I like it too.
That and the extra points bouncing off the brick.
Oh, do they?
Oh yeah, Thorin was booting it and he was banging it high off the wall.
That's right. He kicks it too. He kicks it too.
Yeah, he did everything. He made all his extra points. One of them, I think he tried doing a little interesting because it was like a chip shot. He just like one step and just like flicked it just barely over the crossbar. His kickoffs were good. He had an interception.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he had an interception last week too against Bonnie Eagle.
Yeah, and he had one against Stanford too, and I was there. So he's all over the place.
Yeah, he's doing good. I mean, they have a lot of good players, but I was really, really impressed with him last week.
Right.
He more than lived up to the hype. Because I think Adam had tweeted like a week or two earlier, like best quarterback in the state or something, and I was like, dude, settle down, calm down. But he might be. I mean, I've seen 2 quarterbacks, but like just based on what I've seen other years, like he's really good. Really
right.
good.
That's what Isaiah Ufero said after the game tonight. That he said Eli's the best quarterback in the state, and I'll say it again and again. So
yeah, he definitely does some good stuff. They have a fun team though. Just like even like Ofiero. He's just like a bruiser but he's a playmaker too. They throw the ball to him, and
he's a dog.
Obviously, it's fun to see those high throws to Teagan Pelletier. That Dakota Grassi, Mark Sorn was saying after last week's game that they really want to get him more involved, and kind of as they learn the offense more, they'll be able to. And then just a lot of good defensive players, good defensive linemen, good offensive linemen, and they have some pretty good running backs. They just haven't had to use them very often. Like they make plays, but they just don't get a lot of opportunities. At least not in the game I watched last week.
Yeah.
So let's see. So next up was anything else about that game, Will?
Not that I can really think of. Just kind of that 5-drive stretch was Oxford Hills. Getting the jitters out and stepping on the gas and going and really flexing their muscles.
And they play Massabesic next week. Is that correct?
Could be.
I believe so. And then I think it's Thornton.
Yeah. I think you're right.
That'll be a big game.
Yeah, that'll be a really good game.
Game of the year, you'd hope.
Yeah, it's Massabesic at home and then Thornton at home on October 15th.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, that'll be fun. And then Edward Little, who do they play next week? I know they play Noble in 2 weeks.
They have Noble in 2 weeks.
And I think, do they have is it like Scarborough? No, they play,
They played Scarborough last
is
week.
it Bonnie Eagle next week?
It's
They played
Bangor
Bonnie
and then
Eagle.
Noble.
Bangor. Okay.
Bangor.
I knew it was one of the teams that has been pretty good this year.
Yeah, they get to play Bangor at their new facility over there.
Oh yeah, the revamped Cameron Stadium.
Yep.
Host of this year's Class D state championship.
Oh man. But man, Bangor got it. They got Thornton ought to be arrested for what they did to Bangor last week. Woo.
Yeah, that was.
And then Thornton beat Bonnie Eagle this week. So Bonnie Eagle goes from 3-0 to 3-2, just like that.
Yeah.
And they still might be the third best team in the state.
They still might win the state championship.
Right. Yeah. Who's to say?
Because I think it seems like the Class A state champion, it's not necessarily the best regularly season team when it's been those Thornton, Scarborough, and Bonnie Eagle going against each other.
Yeah.
Even like 2 years ago when Oxford Hills, I think they weren't great. And they played a close game with Bonnie Eagle, and then Bonnie Eagle went on to win the state championship. But I think also looking back now, that just kind of shows how far Oxford Hills has come in the last 5 years.
Yep.
Let's see. Next up was Lewiston and Stanford. It's kind of exciting. Lewiston felt they were trailing 21-0 in the first half, and they came back. Donovan Jackson threw a couple touchdown passes to Bigelow and can't remember his name right now. Give me a second to look it up.
I'll find it.
Ethan Campbell. Eli Bigelow and Ethan Campbell. And then Thornton so that was, and they missed that extra points or conversion. So it was 21-12. Sanford scores a touchdown. They missed theirs. So it's 27-12. And then Bigelow and Ethan Campbell caught touchdown passes, according to the box score, the reports. And one of those it said that Donovan did not throw one of the latter two touchdowns in the fourth quarter, but but I don't know if that's like I'm assuming that it was Sanford's side keeping track of the stats, so it's hard to know for sure.
They have multiple guys who can play quarterback.
Yeah, but
it could have been.
But that's a nice comeback and a nice rally back for Lewiston. I think.
Yeah, they're throwing a lot of fight.
The start to the season that they had, they'll probably take anything that, with those 3 brutal games. And then they won last week against Mount Blue. And then a nice comeback win, or almost comeback win against Sanford on the road. And Donovan Jackson, did I say he had over 100 yards, more than 100 yards rushing, and then he threw for the touchdowns. And so.
Yeah. Huge game. 2 back-to-back really big games for him, which is cool to see.
Yeah, he's a dynamic player for him.
Yeah, he's quick. Yeah, real quick.
Sometimes when you're struggling, you just have to put your best athlete under center and just let him make some plays, and he'll probably make some mistakes too, but at least he'll make some plays. And
it reminds me of Lisbon putting Tyler Halls at quarterback a handful of years ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he was kind of more ready. He might have been more ready for it because he was.
Yeah, but he was a wide receiver, and they needed someone to.
Oh, really?
Do something, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I didn't see that. By the time I showed up, he was just a quarterback. So.
Yeah, he was a wide receiver before that.
And he just seemed like the quarterback the entire time. And by the way, he's a Husson record holder. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh yeah.
He holds, I think, two records now he's set this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Cool.
2 receiving records, and he hasn't even played. He didn't even play his full career there. I think he's only played, this is only his second season. Did Hudson play football last year?
I think so. At least a few games.
Okay.
Yeah, some games.
So he had some games last year, but yeah, he's been good since he transferred. He transferred after his freshman year. What do you think about the Gray New Gloucester Spruce Mountain
Dude,
score?
Bruce is a beast.
Yeah,
50 to 16. Whoa.
Will, you saw them. You've seen them play. I've seen Gray and Gloucester play, but I haven't seen the speed and the athleticism of Spruce. And you have. So, and you just said they're a beast. So what do you think? What do you think about this final here?
I think it's just kind of like I said, Bruce is starting to figure out what it is, and they got some athletes, they got some strength on the lines. Because when I saw them play a year ago, they were just overpowering Dierigo on both sides of the ball, at the line. And I think they've got some brute to them. And then Camden Phillips, can toss it. He can run around people. He can run over people. They got some other guys that can run over people. I think that was probably just a overpowering the opposition kind of thing.
Yeah.
They seem like kind of like the just like the I don't know. They always exceed your expectations. It seems like they always find these athletes who just make these big plays.
Oh yeah, there's millions of athletes. I mean, not
like
millions.
They always seem like they're a little bit overmatched. Maybe you think they're overmatched, and they'll lose to maybe the best teams, but everybody else is in trouble against them. Like last week, they did lose to Chevrolet, who for some reason is playing 8-man football and dominating, and they are dominating.
Yep.
And that's not for some reason. That's clearly because they're one of the, they're used to playing Class A football. They're not one of the biggest schools, but they are, they play Class A sports. But then Spruce gets right back on it, and they take it to Gray New Gloucester at Gray. I didn't see that big of a margin of victory coming.
No, I liked what Gray New Gloucester's defense was doing last week against Yarmouth. Maybe it's because Yarmouth was down some players and it's Yarmouth, but I thought they were going to keep it a lot closer than today's score. I didn't think they were going to give up 50 points, but that just might speak to how explosive Spruce Mountain is on offense.
Yeah, when they played Dierigo, like their running backs were at the linebackers before they got touched. So at that point, it's just make one guy miss and you're gone. If you're getting through holes that big, and in 8-man, there's so much extra room that you can win those foot races easier once you get into space.
Yeah, less guys to beat. So yeah, and it's kind of too bad that Spruce Mountain is lumped in with the big schools, the large schools in 8-man, and I think they're one of the smallest large school teams, teams, which is too bad because they're normally a Class D team,
right?
And I think Mountain Valley was supposed to be they're supposed to be large school, but they dropped down right at the last minute, So yeah, that's tough. That's going to be tough because they have to play Mount Ararat again and Chevrolet, if they want to get to a championship.
Yeah.
To the state championship. But yeah, pretty good game a really good game for them.
Good showing.
And yeah, ever since Camden Phillips came back, they've been a different team.
They've been balling. Yeah, they scored like 52. I think it's 52, 44, and 50 in their wins.
Yeah.
So when they're on, they're on.
And their only losses have been to Mount Ararat and
Chevrolet. Yeah.
Chevrolet.
Right.
Wow.
So they're kind of that number 3 team.
Yeah.
Seems like.
Which is kind of seemed like that's what they were in Class D a lot, like 3 or 4, while like Lisbon and Winthrop were kind of like at the top.
And Oak Hill, yeah, right.
And then Oak Hill Oak Hill was up there too.
Yeah.
And then
right. So that you're right. 3 or 4 spot. You're right.
Yeah, and then right there is Spruce Mountain, and they only have one coach too, so they're adjusting to this new style with one coach.
Yeah.
Um,
Still literally just David.
Yeah.
Someone get David Fry an assistant.
I know.
Someone help.
Somebody jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah, there's room.
There's
Fill it
room, and it's going places.
Exactly. Did we have any? I don't think we had any more games.
Mount Blue.
Brewer beat Mount Blue,
Yeah, Mount Blue.
34-7. So I didn't really see anything that happened in that game, but that's difficult for Mount Blue. They're having a hard time scoring this year.
Yeah, when they played Lewiston, like they'd have a good stretch in a drive, and then just the drive would fizzle. And I'm wondering if the same thing happened this week, where just you move the ball a little bit, and then one bad play happens, and you're in 3rd and 17, and
Yeah,
it's hard to convert those.
Yeah. And then they started off against Lawrence, who turns out to be really good this year.
Yeah.
And they're always tough. And then that was just they just took it to Mount Blue in the season opener. And then Mount Blue lost their next game. Their next game got canceled because of the field, then COVID. And then the next week was COVID. And then they had to go play Lewiston. And
then lose one of their best players in Hayden Dipner.
Yeah.
That's a big loss, because he was their starting running back, and a big defensive player for him.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's a good basketball player too. So I hope he comes back. Hope he's able to get back for that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, tough goings on in Farmington.
Yeah.
Up there. Hopefully they can turn it around. What about tomorrow? We got 2 games. Just it seems weird. We only have 2 games. We only had 5 today, and only
I know.
2
We
tomorrow.
got so many Sun Journal versus Sun Journal area matchups, and then we lost 2 games that featured 3 teams. So
yeah,
that's fair. I'll be at Bucksport at Oak Hill. I saw Bucksport's season opener against Winthrop, Monmouth, Halldale, and I thought it was going to be a real close game, and it kind of was, but Winthrop really took it to their line and kind of started to dominate as the game went on. So that'll be interesting against an Oak Hill team that's been kind of up and down. We'll see how that goes. They're kind of middle of the pack in Class D. Do you guys have any opinions on that game?
should be a good one. Both teams seem like they can score points.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems like Bucksport is maybe better and has more players than they did against Winthrop, but also Winthrop's really good, so who knows?
Exactly right.
Yeah. But I think Bucksport beat John Baptist. Is that right?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are going to beat John Baptist this year.
Yeah, I think a whole lot of people are going to beat him. Yeah.
And then I think did they lose? I think they also lost to Foxcroft, but I think a lot of people are going to lose to Foxcroft this year.
It seems like Foxcroft is the other top team in D as of right now.
So it's hard to say. It's hard to say what kind of a team Bucksport has yet, but I think tomorrow will probably be the best indicator more than anything else, because Oak Hill, I think Oak Hill is kind of tough to know for what they have too, but they have beaten. They're another one of Foxcroft's victims, and they beat Lisbon, and who else did they beat?
They beat Madison.
Madison, okay, which has
Madison Carabec
had some serious cancellations so far. So
yeah, they've had a tough start to their. I guess at this point, just a tough season.
Yeah,
kind of get going. But yeah, Oak Hill lost to Foxcroft at the beginning. I was at that game, and Tiger Hopkins got hurt near halftime, and then in the second half, Foxcroft kind of pulled away. So who knows? Tiger Hopkins was doing a whole lot of stuff on the ground, and really, really a big playmaker for them. So who knows if he stays in that game, what it looks like. But then Oak Hill, yeah, they beat Lisbon 24-13, and then they beat Madison 22-14, and now we're here. So Oak Hill's looking to get 3 in a row, and it'll be a tough Bucksport team. That's for sure. They'll be ready to go.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that one turns out. It's a long trip for the Golden Bucks of Bucksport.
I know. Yeah, another one. At least this one's on a Saturday and not right after school on Friday. But they'll be ready for it. They had a big trip to Winthrop, and they came ready to play. It just Winthrop was a lot better that night. So,
And then Oak Hill has some. They have Tiger Hopkins and Caden Thompson.
Aiden Thompson, yeah, both can break a play. Good running backs, can catch. So, they'll need to be on and ready to go if they want a chance tomorrow.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, along with the chicken tenders at Oak Hill, their uniforms just look so good in the daylight. Like,
yeah,
it's almost like they glow, even when they glow most when the sun's out.
right.
And so,
Yeah, it's a fun place to cover a game.
yeah,
Yep. I enjoy it.
yeah. But I think there's not really very many bad places to cover a game in our coverage area. I thought Lewiston, the old place, was pretty bad, but the new one,
That's because it had a track around it. When there's a track around a field, it really kind of can deaden an environment.
Yeah, but that like the field wasn't like it was kind of bumpy, but also just even with the track, it just seemed like the fans were even farther away than they usually are when there's a track involved. Yeah. But the new place, I haven't covered a game, but it seems like a pretty great place.
Yeah,
I've only covered the Lobster Bowl this tournament this week. The 707 this summer. But yeah, it seems great, and it's people talk about how I've heard people talk about how great it is. But yeah, that's fun. And I love Winthrop's that like you walk down into the like gully or whatever.
Yep.
And
there's a lot of fun.
Great. I kind of like Gray's in a way too. And I really like Poland's. Poland's is kind of underrated.
I like Poland's, yeah.
But Gray's is great. And Walton Field's fun. Gwynn is always great.
Libby Field at Levitt is fun.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I like that too. Yeah.
Levitt's at
the fans are right on top of you.
Yeah, they're loud.
Yeah, and I haven't covered games at Lisbon, Dirigo, Mountain Valley, Spruce Mountain.
I like Lisbon. Lisbon's
or Mount Blue
could be closer, but they still make themselves heard because the tracks around it, but it's still a fun place. They get a whole lot of people, so it works out.
There's a little bit of a hill that people sit on, and so that's fun on a Saturday as well.
And it's chilly weather right now, so
right.
So that's perfect.
It's huge. So I was saying I went to Oak Hill's first football game of the season, and at that game I talked to Levitt head coach Mike Hathaway because he had an off week thanks to a cancellation.
Nothing else to do.
Right. But tomorrow, Levitt plays.
Yeah. Good segue, man. That was
pro. They play Westbrook.
Yeah. And Westbrook's all right. They're not a bad team at all.
Well, we'll see how they do against a juggernaut that is Levitt, though.
Yeah, Levitt's scary. Yeah.
The first football game I ever covered in Maine was Westbrook at Levitt, and it was in 2016. And Levitt didn't do that great that year.
Well, in Levitt terms.
No, I think they were only like 2-7 or something like that. I think it was their last year in Class C or Class B before they dropped back down. I think it was 2-7, but anyway, that was the first game of the season, and even though they lost, I'm like, wow, this team just still knows what it's doing. They're a well-coached team. You could just tell. Yeah. Then after the game, Westbrook had this running back who was just like he had a really, really nice game. And after the game, when I talked to Levitt coach Mike Hathaway, he said he compared that running back to Roger Craig, and I was like, oh, that's such an amazing comparison. I loved Roger Craig, and it was so true. I was like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yep.
And just it endeared him to me.
So, my first Levitt game was a playoff game that he lost in like overtime. So he was.
Oh, that's a Freiburg.
Yeah,
I remember that.
When they kind of thought they were kind of expected to win.
Yeah,
that's tough.
I was like, wow, what a jerk, this Hathaway.
You didn't say that.
No, I didn't. I was just like, wow, that's the playoffs.
That was tough. That was a tough week for him too. That was like that last tragedy that week, leading up to that week.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
So you should cut him some slack, Adam.
I didn't actually call him a jerk. It was my first playoff game,
You
and
take that back.
it was it was intense, and I was like, wow, is this how life is? And yeah, it is. So I had to grow up.
Kid, that's when you realized you had to grow up fast.
Yeah.
The world was changing and you needed to change with it. All right.
But that should be a good game. Levitt's steamrolling now that they're finally playing. And we'll see how that one goes. Westbrook, I think they played Wells tough. Did they beat Wells?
They beat Wells, yeah.
They beat Wells. Yeah, and so did Levitt. But so I mean, we'll see if they can keep it close. Levitt's really strong.
And then Levitt plays Cape next week, which should be a good game too.
That should be really fun.
Yeah.
Cape just beat a really good York team today by like 20 points or something like that. So that'll be a whole lot of points in that Levitt Cape game. That'll be really fun.
Well, Levitt can play defense too, my man.
True.
They haven't given up a point yet this year, so I don't know why you're talking about lots of points.
I know. I'm giving Cape.
Yeah, but they haven't faced
30
Cape
points.
yet this year.
I know they haven't, but he's over there talking like they're an offensive shootout team that
No.
just goes for the points.
All I've done is just disrespect Mike Hathaway in this 3-minute segment.
On several different occasions.
Yeah.
Gonna toss you in a trash can,
Jeez.
and the student section's gonna bang it with their drumsticks.
Yeah. Can't wait.
They do
Yeah.
all game.
I
Drumstick.
love it. I love that
bang,
though.
man.
I love it when the band
Oh,
just
yeah.
goes nuts. Oh man, like when they I don't know if they do it. Do the bands play at the basketball games here in Maine?
They used to.
Some places.
In Washington, there's a few places that do that, and it's like so loud, and I'm just like kind of annoying, but that makes it awesome. I love it.
That's not awesome.
Used to be bigger in Eastern Maine. You get all the pet bands playing against each other, and that was fun.
Okay, awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks for staying up, and
All right.
hope you get some sleep. Got a busy day. Busy day tomorrow. Packed with action.
Yep.
It'll be fun.
Actually.
Yeah.
So
Excited.
until next time, we'll see you next time.